What's up everybody? Glad to see you guys back here on the channel. Exciting stuff going on. Now, you guys all know that the 1070 Ti cards, they're a really nice card. Heavily overclockable, great for gaming. Now, previously we brought you guys the unboxing of the Zotac edition. Now, this is their mini card, and Zotac claims it'll fit in 99% of the systems out there due to its size, so that's pretty cool. So if you want to see the unboxing, we'll have a link down below. But for those of you who've never seen the card before, I will go over some of the specs. So right off the bat, you guys can see the card has a 2-fan design on the front, very simple. On the back, we have a very nice backplate. Knock on that bad boy, I love back plates, you know. So some of the basic features though, this card has 2,432 CUDA cores inside of it. It features 8 gigabytes of GDDR5 memory running at 8 gigahertz. This card has a base clock speed of 1607 and a boost clock speed of 1683. So all in all, it's a really nice card meant for gaming. Some of the other features of this card are just the basic stuff that NVIDIA has. You guys all know that NVIDIA has their G-Sync, and for the fans out there, I don't want to bore you guys to death, I know that you guys know all the stuff on the side of Team Green. Now, another cool thing about this card, it only requires a single 8-pin power connector. This card can also be SLI'd. There are 2 SLI fingers right here on the top of the card right here. So if you're looking to do an SLI system, this will do it without problems at all. So that's pretty much the card. For those of you who want to just see the rear I/O, here it is. It's the same pretty much I/O that every card has out there now. Only a few cards are very different. They're all pretty much standard now. So real quick, let's check out our test system and then let's check out all the scoring. We do the 1.1% lows in 1080. We have overclocking, everything that you guys have asked for, including actual filming of the in-game testing, along with a few benchmarks, but pretty much everything that you guys have asked for in a card. We're gonna have the heat in overclock mode and in standard mode, and pretty much everything you've been looking for. So let's check out our test system and then let's check out all the different scores. For those of you who want to see the whole build on our test system, we'll have a link down below to that as well. Now for the motherboard, we're using the EVGA Z370 FTW. For the CPU, we're using an Intel i7-8700K. We're also using 16 gigabytes of Patriot Viper Elite memory set at 3200 megahertz. Our boot drive is the Corsair 480 gigabyte Neutron. And for the hard drive, we're using a 2 terabyte Seagate Fire CUDA. And powering up this system is the EVGA Supernova at 750 watts. We're also using the latest edition of Windows 10 with the Anniversary Edition and all the latest drivers available at the time of testing. The card size is in at 8.3 inches by 4.9 inches by 1.4 inches, which is basically just saying it's a 2-slot design. Another thing to take note, this card only requires 180 watts of power to power the card. Now real quick before we get into all the testing and all that stuff, you folks asked in the past that we actually film the screen footage of the testing. So for all of the 4K footage, we did that. We did 10 games, and the 1080p scores will be embedded in that film so you can see them as well. Then after that, we're going to jump into the overclocking scores and then the 1.1% lows. And what the 1.1% lows are, they're pretty much showing where the card drops out and is not giving you its full performance. So let's jump in, let's check it out. Now you guys know that a 1080 Ti card, it runs games, most games anyways, at 4K at about 60 frames per second. And you can see that this 1070 Ti card is really just below that. Not much of a difference. Most of the games are running right at that level. Some games run at a little bit less, but most games are still hitting that mark. And overall, you guys can see even with the standard clocks out of the box that this card performs very, very well. Okay, so those are the standard scores. You can see this card does very well, like I said when we're showing that. Now, next up is the overclocking. We used MSI's Afterburner. Obviously, these guys have their own Firestorm. We're just more used to using the Afterburner software. I think that most of the gamers out there actually prefer that. Sorry if I stepped on any toes there, but we just all prefer it. Now, like we said, the base clock speed on this car was a certain thing. We were seeing about 1911 as the average clock that we were seeing in the boost, but with our overclocking results, we were able to boost this all the way up to 2088. That's right, 2088 megahertz above 1911. So that's a pretty damn incredible overclock. Now, as far as the memory overclocking goes, we were also very successful. 4011 is the standard memory clock, but we were able to add 475 megahertz for a memory clock speed of 4482, which is just really nice. So as far as the overclocking goes, honestly, this card is pretty much, it seems like right out of the box, built for overclocking because these are some really nice scores. Another thing is that the card under normal load was getting about 67 degrees Celsius as far as the heat goes and about 71 when overclocked. But this is completely with the fan on auto mode. If we turn the fans onto full blast, those numbers drop significantly down to about 59. That's right, 59 from 71 just with the fans in full blast. It's just so loud. I was like, okay, turn the fans down. But if you're a gamer who wears headphones, this isn't gonna matter to you one bit. You can overclock the crap out of this card and be in your headphone zone and just totally ignore it. But now, let's check out the difference in scoring between the standard clock and overclock scores, and I think that you're going to be pretty amazed. So let's jump in. Now, obviously, not every game takes to overclocking, and you can see that from the scores, but the minimum that we were seeing was 4 to 10 frames per second. And on some games, even 20 frames per second could be seen, and that's an incredible overclock. Far Cry is one of these games that actually gained 20 frames per second just from being overclocked. So that's a really good thing. Now, as well as these overclock scores, you guys can see that we've also included the 1.1% lows, and honestly, this card does very well. It was pretty much consistent overclocked as a standard card, and that's really good. A lot of cards that you see in the market drop out a lot, giving you guys poor performance in a lot of areas, but this card pretty much across the board stayed solid. All right, folks, so here's my conclusion. And honestly, I want you guys to just take this with kind of a grain of salt. Right now, video card prices are just a ripoff across the board. I was kind of even hesitant to bring a video card, review to the table because I was like, oh man, people are gonna just be pissed off because the cheapest that we could find this card was like $800, and this card's just not an $800 card. Let's just face it, a 1080 Ti, even if it had a rocket engine attached and was made with plated gold, wouldn't really be worth $800. So all the cards out there are overpriced. Now, is that a direct result of anything to do with Zotac's card? Absolutely not. At the end of the day, this card kicks ass. That's all there is to it. I really can't find anything to go, oh my God, I want to just punch this so people would be like, oh, there's something to say. But honestly, the card is well made. It has an excellent backplate. All the cooling apparatus that you guys can see in the card does an excellent job of keeping this card cool. Obviously, if you turn the fans on to full blast, it's going to be loud and lawnmower-ish, let's just face it. I mean, if something's going, obviously there's going to be some sound involved. Now, maybe in the future they can get some really expensive fans, like some of those Corsair fans they sell in the L series that are super duper quiet, and it would change things. But for now, when you turn up full blast, it's a little bit loud. The card, Overclocks, absolutely great. You guys saw those numbers. In the 1.1% lows, the card handles itself very well. So at the end of the day, beyond all the price increasing and all that crap that's going on, this is definitely an editor's choice card and worth having if you could get one. If prices were normal on the market right now, I could wholeheartedly say go out and buy this card and you won't be disappointed with it. At 800 bucks, I'm looking at it online here, shaking my head. No fracking way. But like I said before, man, that's not the fault of Zotac. Zotac has made a good product. The market supply and demand and all that crap, not their responsibility. We know who's responsible for that. Miners, I'm not gonna say anything, like more than that, but honestly, it's not really their fault. Somewhere along the line, somehow though, they need to start making more cards so that these cards get back to a standard price level, because the way things are right now, cards are just overpriced. But at the end of the day, if they were normal priced, I would definitely, if I was buying a card, recommend this card and even buy it for myself. So I'm Elric. You guys have been watching Tech of Tomorrow. If for some reason you have to have a video card right now, we'll have a link down below where you guys can check some out. I believe this card goes all the way up to, like, believe it or not, $1,100 freaking dollars. $1,100 for a 1070.